I thought you were still celebrating down there in Dearborn I saw your picture this morning.
Yeah.
Here we
There
go.
we go.
Welcome to M2Techcast, a live internet radio show offering the latest news and interviews with the people driving business, technology, and politics in Michigan. Now, your hosts, Matt Roush and Mike Brennan.
Hey, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And we're back with another fun-filled edition of the M2Techcast, or as we call it now.
Oh, M2Tech TV.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, we're starting off our show today. We got a great show for you, a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of different parts of the high-tech world. We're going to start with someone from my employer, Lawrence Technological University.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding. Yeah, we're missing our shameless plug bell.
Shameless plug bell.
Yeah, that's all right. Jason Barrett, who's going to talk about the Grand Challenges Scholars Program at Lawrence Tech. Jason, why don't we start out? First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And why don't we start with a little bit about your background? How long have you been at Lawrence Tech, and what are you a professor up there?
Oh, thank you. This is my 19th year teaching at Lawrence Tech in Southfield. Started out as a history professor and worked my way through the tenure line, and then took over as department chair of the humanities department. It's primarily in that role. One of my responsibilities is to bring new programming and develop new programs for our students at Lawrence Tech as department chair, and it's primarily in that role that I've worked on the Grand Challenge Scholars Program.
Okay. What exactly is the Grand Challenges Scholars Program?
So this program is sponsored by the National Academy of Engineers, and it's an educational initiative directed primarily at colleges of engineering across the country. It started just about a decade ago, and there are currently about 60 colleges of engineering across the country participating. Lawrence Tech became a community member in the Grand Challenges 2 years ago, so we're in our second official year of running. And the purpose of the program, the NAE kind of did an assessment of the state of educational engineering education across the country, came out with a series of recommendations, and out of those recommendations they developed this program. The central focus of the program is what the NAE labels the 14 grand challenges facing humanity in the 21st century. So these are sort of next generation technological research challenges like artificial intelligence, carbon sequestration, genetically modified pharmaceuticals, and a variety of others. What the NAE is trying to do with this list of challenges is become a kind of intermediary between university faculty researchers and their students and congressional funding sources for research. So the NAE is listening to Congress, listening to where they want to spend research dollars, and then communicating to professional researchers across the country through the Grand Challenges what fields is the funding sources residing in. And it's a way of encouraging researchers to get their students working on next-generation research problems.
So what they're doing is they're looking for ideas on solving the really big problems of the 21st century.
That's exactly right. And they're trying to encourage students to focus their energies and their training in those areas so that we can have qualified engineers and STEM researchers in the 21st century. That's exactly right.
Now, I got multiple emails today from Mr. Matt here. One of the things that I saw in there was actually there was winners named. I'm not sure if there was.
That's right. So Matt was wonderful enough to attend our research poster exhibit, our Grand Challenge research poster exhibit just last week. So what we do is we bring every first semester student their first semester on campus with us, and we ask them to think about where they want to be at the end of their 4 years with us at Lawrence Tech, what kind of research project would they want to be working on, and how can it help advance our understanding and knowledge of one of these 14 areas. So we have every first semester student at Lawrence Tech spends their one of their classes, their first semester, designing this research poster, and then we have a big exhibit on campus. We had just last week just about 100 students, arts and science majors and engineering majors, put on display in our Marburger STEM Center building on campus, and we had just about 50 faculty and VIP guests come onto campus and talk to our students about their research ideas. Ultimately, we have a judging piece of this, and we award some winners at the end of the event. That's right.
Okay. So how does this poster exhibit, what role does it play? How does it feature in LTU's version of the Grand Challenges Scholars Program? Yeah,
it's a foundational piece of students' experience with us at Lawrence Tech. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, from the NAE's perspective, this is an initiative directed primarily at colleges of engineering. We're very fortunate at Lawrence Tech both to have a College of Engineering with a strong reputation, but also have a diverse and supportive College of Arts and Science. So at Lawrence Tech, one of the things that's distinctive is our program is directed at both arts and science majors. That's computer scientists, nurses, psychologists, English majors even, and getting them to work in multidisciplinary settings with the students in our College of Engineering. So what is distinctive about Lawrence Tech's program, we are the only Grand Challenge program in the country that allows arts and science majors to complete the requirements of the program. Now, our poster exhibit is to set the foundation for that. That is, on their very first semester on campus, we have them working in collaborative projects with students from other disciplines, and they're developing their research strategies, nurses working with psychologists, working with biomedical engineers, working with electrical and computer engineers, and that's really the heart of Lawrence Tech's mission and our participation in this program. Our goal is to bring engineers working in cooperation with non-engineering specialties so they can understand the real-world necessity that there are very few STEM research problems that can be solved by one specialist alone, and almost always in real-world settings you have multiple specialists working together and needing to communicate with each other. And that's what we're trying to replicate and prepare students for with our program at Lawrence Tech.
You know, when I think of Lawrence Tech, I don't necessarily think of humanities students as in English students and things like that. Are there a lot of them on campus? I always thought it was just an engineering school. So I'm being educated here, you know.
You are speaking our common reputation and the thing we are trying to transform. We've got the last 20 years into transforming our campus to be not just an engineering school, but to be a broader STEM research center. And in fact, the College of Arts and Science at Lawrence Tech has now surpassed as the second largest college on campus, right behind the College of Engineering, and we're very proud of that growth over the last 15 to 20 years that I've been there. We have amazing programs in computer science and nursing, psychology, media communications, all across the board, and you're absolutely right. That is not an association that most people make with Lawrence Tech. They think of engineering, and we've been working very hard. The Grand Challenge Scholars Program is an integral part of our efforts to diversify the university and have people understand the breadth of offerings that we have for them.
Huh.
Well, and that's one of the more interesting things to me about working there is the sort of interdisciplinary nature of it, where you have engineering majors that are informed by the humanities and by the College of Business as well. We have entrepreneurial engineers, more or less, right?
That is at the heart of what we do. When I talk to prospective students and parents, we talk about we are a small school, and what that means is we have to rely on each other. You cannot just hide in a giant department and be surrounded only by professors from the same field. Because we are a smaller university, it's in our DNA, it's in our blood that we have to, that physicists work with biologists, work with psychologists, work with computer scientists, and that's because we have to combine and maximize the resources that we have available to
Yeah,
us. So,
and
interdisciplinary work is at the heart of what we do at Lawrence Tech.
yeah, and designers too. I don't want to leave the College of Architecture and Design out.
100% College of Design, and our College of Business is fantastic. So entrepreneurship, that's another element of this research poster exhibit. Students are required to develop a business plan and to understand a little bit about the product development process behind their research proposal. And so the business aspect and the design aspect is critical to what we do. You bet.
So we've got just a couple of minutes left. What would you say were some of the more noteworthy student achievements to come out of this poster exhibit? What were the coolest things you saw?
This is fantastic. It's been a fantastic year. We've got some wonderful winners this year. In past years, we've had students go on to do fantastic things. Our grand prize winner last year, Miss Cindy Ross, had a design idea about key fobs, cybersecurity coding of key fobs. We brought Miss Ross with us to the American Society for Engineering Education, the ASEE conference in Tampa in last June to participate on a student panel with students from Olin University, Worcester Polytechnic, and Northeastern Engineering University. That was a wonderful opportunity for Miss Ross. We've had students in previous years end up taking their ideas. We have one student from 2 years ago who's now a co-patent holder on her idea for a vaginal catheter, and we connected her with people from Medical Innovations in Ann Arbor and talked to her about developing her idea into a real patent. And we've had a variety of other successes. So as I mentioned, this is a first semester course for our students, and what we want them to do is chart a research pathway that then they can use that idea to apply for further opportunities. And that's really one of our end goal focuses for this research poster exhibit.
All right, so if people want more information on both LTU and this particular program, where should they go online?
They should go to the LTU website and search Grand Challenges, and the College of Arts and Science webpage will come up. It's Arts and Science _ Grand Challenges. They can also check out the NAE website, which is www.grandchallenges.org, and they will find Lawrence Tech, a link to Lawrence Tech's website there through the NAE as well. I would be happy to have anyone contact me. I'd be just delighted to chat with anyone interested in the program.
Okay, and that's J. Barrett, 2 R's and 2 T's, at ltu.edu?
That's it, at LTU. That's me.
Okay. Professor Jason Barrett from Lawrence Technological University, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back in a moment with another segment of the M2Techcast. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you're listening at PodcastDetroit.com.
As a Lawrence Technological
Thank you so much,
University
Jason.
graduate, you're not only marketable,
Thank
you're
you,
worth
guys.
more.
That was a treat.
Yes, more.
Have a
According
great
to
day.
PayScale.com,
Yep, take care. You
class to
too.
graduate
Yep.
salaries, LTU is in America's top 100. Be invaluable. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Okay.
Salaries of
right,
Lawrence
not a
Tech
problem.
grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet
Yeah, I
with
see it.
counselors, faculty, and coaches.
Okay.
Why wait? Find out
Got
more
a
at
lot of talking.
ltu.edu.
What do you get at Lawrence Technological University?
That's okay.
Everything. Great labs and
Better too many
studios,
than too
supportive
few.
professors, plus a full campus life,
And then
NAIA
everybody
athletics,
goes,
and
"Oh my
all the
God,
software
14
you
minutes."
need to succeed. Be smart. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Salaries of Lawrence Tech grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet with counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Hey, it's Mike Brennan.
And Matt Roush.
And we're back on the second segment of, well, now MI Tech TV. And we have, well, this is a long time. I almost said old. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I can take these off. We're right in the
Yeah,
studio here, aren't we? Yeah, okay,
You
gotcha.
look
Hey,
good, though. You
cool.
look very professional.
I'm
man.
sure, yeah.
So,
right. I'm already deaf enough,
yes.
so.
Tamara Shoemaker, and she's over at Detroit Mercy. Now, I don't want to get your title. And pull that microphone just a tad tighter or lean in. There you go. Whoop. And Dave can fix that. So give me the right title so I don't mess it up.
Sure. So I am the director for the Cyber Center. It's the Center for Cybersecurity and Intelligence Studies at University of Detroit Mercy.
Okay, great. And so one of the things that you guys are involved is a Cyber Patriot program, which I'm actually, as a disclaimer, I'm on her board, so I'm pretty familiar with the Cyber Patriot program. But let's talk a little bit about what that is. Now, this be the first time that anyone's heard about that, although we did.
Yes, it's the first time I've heard of it, so
Yes.
tell me all about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Very interesting.
So, Cyber Patriot program is a K through 12 solution for cybersecurity awareness and competitions. So, from K through 5, the kids get free. You can download. Anyone could. You could download them for grandchildren. Anyone can download this, and teachers can download 3 games that they play, and they just learn cybersecurity awareness.
All right.
There's the talking notes that are included, so it's great for the teachers. From when you hit middle school and high school, it gets a little bit more intense. We start doing competitions, and it's a national competition. It's virtual, so it's very inexpensive to run and very easy to implement. And so for the last 5 years, I've been trying to grow this program in Michigan and in the Midwest. I'm helping some other folks in other states try to get their numbers up. I know we feel that we are ruling the world here in the Midwest, but that's one of those places where we're a tiny bit behind. The coasts have us, the East Coast, the West Coast have us on that. So when I started 5 years ago, we had 4 teams in the entire state, which meant there were 20 kids playing this game nationally, while there were thousands across the nation playing. So we got sort of my coalition of community colleges and universities that are all centers of excellence with the DHS and NSA said we got to do something about this, and we started growing this program. And to this year, we have now 182 teams playing. So we have
Wow.
over 900 kids playing this year.
That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it important to get kids plugged into cybersecurity?
They're connected and they're innovative, right? So they are going to be our next generation. And we have a huge hole in our employment. So there's projected right now we have 350,000 a year shortages, no unfilled positions in cybersecurity.
Nationwide.
That cannot be filled in the United States.
Right.
Globally, it's 3 million.
Wow, it's amazing.
So we can't get them up to speed quick enough, right? And we and also make sure that we get a diverse population up to speed too. We don't want the same. The folks that are doing the crimes have all different kind of makeup, so there's a diversity in that, and we need that same kind of thing in what who's fighting them, and it takes a long time to get them up to speed. If I get them as a freshman in college, and that's the first time that they've started to work on this kind of
They're
thing.
way
They've
behind.
kind of liked
Yeah.
IT, and that's what they decided to pick. Then they're way behind, right? I have to quick get them up to speed, and it's still going to take me 6 years at least. Then we hope and pray that they get involved in competitions or they get internships so they can get hands-on, because no one wants an unknown quantity without any experience either. That's why the Cyber Patriot thing was just beauty to me. 5 years ago, when I sort of slowed down long enough to listen to my California friends that have been doing this for years and said, this is easy to implement, Tamara. You need to get it over there in Michigan. I finally listened, and it is. And I'm just so excited to be able to, take this message across Michigan and grow the program.
Huh.
Okay. What are schools doing in terms of helping our kids with cybersecurity?
So the state, it's kind of hit or miss, right? So just like I got an eye-opener when I started to try to get this program across the state, finding out how much the schools can actually implement this and what the skill set looks like in the teacher base. And I realized right away after the first year of trying to work this that the teachers are our weakest link. Not that they're not trying their hardest. Their days are packed. There's a ton that they're doing. But IT has changed since when they became teachers. The high school and middle school that has an actual IT teacher that has background in that is blessed. The rest of the state and the rest of those teachers are falling behind. So they're doing the best they can to run and get caught up, but they don't have the continuing ed, that kind of thing. So the beautiful thing about a couple years ago, we got involved with the Michigan Department of Education, and they helped fund some things that we could do to get the teachers up to speed and be able to implement this much easier. So now we have a portal called the EduPath Portal, and that's free for all Michigan teachers. In fact, we were in California talking about it nationally. Even nationally, they can plug into this. And we put together some continuing ed type classes, modules for teachers to get them up to speed for what cyber is. Because when I go across the state, I talk to these IT teachers. They might be the social studies teacher who got tapped to do IT.
Right.
Right? So and you tell them cybersecurity and they go into lockdown, right? And so we really need to help them and get them up to speed. So those modules are up there, and they can get continuing ed credits for them, and they get to get up to speed and not be quite so scared. We have some computers. We just now
Well,
got.
it helps them in their career too, if you look at it that
Absolutely.
way. Yeah,
And
if they're viewed as an expert at this thing, that makes them more marketable. Not that we're encouraging them to leave whatever teaching position they're
and that's
in,
our
but
fear,
it's
because then we also want to show them that, hey, this cybersecurity is not so scary, and there are other things, and then there are loads of community colleges and training and things that you can do to kind of help that thing. But the beauty of this program is that it's not on all the it's not on just the teacher. The mentors are really, really important. So those mentors are from industry, and those folks are truly cybersecurity people.
Right.
And those guys and women have been amazing in the state. I have twice as many mentors and volunteers that I need for the amount of teams that I have across the state right now. I talk to all of the associations and everywhere that I can, and things like this, to try to talk to IT professionals and cybersecurity professionals and say, hey, give back a little bit. You know we have this shortage. You know you can't hire anybody. Help put some skin in the game. Get involved with these kids, and you'd be amazed how much of a difference you can make in these kids' lives. And to watch these young minds, I'm normally used to working with graduate students. And while it's great to retool graduate students and some of those traditional students and get them where they are, when you're down in middle school and high school and you see what some of these kids are thinking and what they're doing, and then you show them a pathway, it's just amazing.
Well, they're almost savants. I mean, they grew up in this world.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's always been digital for them versus guys like us.
Yep.
Right.
For us, the internet, I mean...
Who remember dial-up.
1994 is when the internet really
Absolutely.
exploded, right?
And they're native, but that's also why it's so critical that we talk to them about security and this, and how to be safe, because they have grown up with it. I mean, my grandson learned to shoulder surf my husband at 2. Because he had an iPad, he was playing Angry Birds. He would watch when he wanted to buy some golden feathers or whatever you buy on that game. And he put his password in, and so the grandchild just picked up the iPad and knew Grandpa's password and used the password. He didn't know he was doing anything wrong, and that's most of the time what we do when we're doing this security awareness with these kids. They don't know that, hey, don't give out all your
bad
information.
people out there,
right? Don't get out all your information. Don't tell people, yeah, I'm home gaming alone today and my parents are gone, or this is where I live, or, all of the things that you don't want them to be sharing.
Right.
But without scaring them, have them doing it in a fun way, right? So that awareness piece is all fun. It's a game. They don't know that they're getting, awareness trained.
Right.
But we're helping to keep them safe. And then we teach them how to take it a little bit farther, and then actually defend all of us. And I know that these guys are going to be they're the ones making the next innovations, and they're the ones going to save our bacon, and so we can keep the power up.
Well, and as we know, the other team, they have the very best people in the
Most
world
definitely.
working on that team,
I mean,
because
they
there's so much money to
They
be
have
made.
nation states. It's 1 in 4 people are victimized.
Right.
There's a lot of money in this, right?
Tremendous. All the ransomware attacks that are being levied against all these various cities that haven't really kept their IT patches and things up, or do stupid things like click on phishing attempts and all those sorts of things. And I just saw another one that was getting hit with $1 million ransom. And I remember, was it Austin, Texas? Where was it?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Okay,
Yeah,
I knew it was somebody down there in the south. So.
Well, they're also saying that when small businesses are hit, 50% of them go out of business the next year.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's huge for our economy and entrepreneurs and things like that. How are we going to do all of that? We really need, we need an army. I call them our warriors, right? We're training these kids to think about this stuff now, not try to snap it on later, not try to think about it later, but as they're developing and as they're working way through their education and their career paths, that they have that knowledge. So even if they don't become a cyber warrior for me, I know that they're going to be a cyber employee, right? So they'll cybersecurity employee, which is like right now one of the 89% of our hacks and our problems are because there was an insider piece.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's usually how this works. If somebody does something dumb on the inside, or they're just bad
did it on
the
purpose.
inside.
But either way, if I have
right.
all these other people if everybody's trained and everybody knows how to be safe, then the likelihood of that is going to go way down.
Yeah.
And that's our hope. We also hope that we get a diverse population as well. And this game, because it's a game,
Right.
And we get them where they love. They love competitions. They love games. They're teenagers. This is where they live.
Yep.
And then they're getting to do this, and it's fun.
And lucrative too, because I just read a story that AI professionals are the #1 paying profession, but I got to believe cybersecurity's got to be real close number
Almost
two.
definitely. They make 10 to 20% more than a normal IT person for
Right.
sure out the gate, without even any kind of experience. So
Kid
like
right
I
out
said,
of school could make 120 grand a year. That's
we're not
pretty
talking
good
about
money.
absolutely. It's an amazing field, and that's the other thing that we do with the Cyber Patriot thing is because we have these volunteers that are mentors in our schools. They get to see all these different people and all the different jobs that they have.
Right.
And cybersecurity is very wide and very, very diverse. We don't just need engineers. We also need people who work in HR that understand this and can do backgrounding and all the other kinds of things. We need we need lawyers. We need people who can do policies and procedures. We need all kinds of people all working together.
Oh, yeah.
On
I mean,
this.
every business function you can think of, from
Correct.
accounting to HR to PR, they all have to be aware of this and know
Correct.
about it.
But we've
So-
got to get the message out there, and that's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
So
Just
we
got-
we have a
go
we have a
ahead.
lot of listeners who are IT professionals, maybe own small companies. What can they do to help you in this effort?
They can help me get the word out. They can help support this program. They can go to our website, which is Michigan, so cyberpatriot.com. If they want to become a volunteer, after they get hold of me, I'll sort of help get them and work your way through how you become a volunteer. The season goes from October until April. And then there's a national competition, and the national competition is the 28 top teams, and that happens in April. And in Baltimore, they get flown out for free.
Ooh.
Everything is paid. The thing is beautiful
Self-shown
about this
crap.
is how nice and affordable it is, and it's why I need industry to come in and help me partner, because right now we don't fund it at all. So it's $205 for a team, a high school team, $185 for a middle school team for an entire year, and they can play all year round. We also do Cyber Patriot summer camps. There's a lot of things going on, and we need their help.
And of course, their funding. We were talking before we went on air that funding is critical. I mean, you just you get little dribs and drabs here and there, but a lot more. What we should see is these big cybersecurity companies stepping up and providing this cash, right?
Absolutely. That they really need to help us with this. We're doing it with duct tape and shoe leather right now, but we could make such a much bigger impact, right, if we had some more support and
Right.
and across the whole state, not just in the Metro Detroit area, but all across the state. I've got some folks up in the Upper Peninsula now and up in Traverse City. I'm really, really happy about how we're getting around, but we need more help for these students and for these teachers are doing it for free, and it's an after-school program. That's an awful big lift for those guys. They've already got an awful lot going on. For 1 year, I was funded, and we were able to give them stipends, and that certainly helped them a lot. But, we'll get by with whatever we have, but we sure would love some help.
Okay, well, one more time, if folks want to reach out to you, give your email address, give your website address
Sure.
again.
So it's Tamara Shu at Gmail. And our website is www.micyberpatriot.com.
Okay. Tamara Shoemaker, I would encourage everybody out there, particularly in the IT industry, to help out because you want to make sure that your business is secure, and this is next. The future of our business
Absolutely.
is keeping it secure and teaching these kids how to do that, right?
Right.
All right. Thank you very much, Tamara.
All right,
Thanks
thanks
for
for being with us today.
Thanks so much.
We'll be back with another segment of the M2Techcast in just a moment. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you're watching and listening at PodcastDetroit.com.
Lawrence Technological University graduates earn a degree and a higher starting salary. In fact, when it comes to earning potential, the Brookings Institution ranks LTU 5th among U.S. colleges and universities. Be enriched. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Salaries of Lawrence Tech grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet with counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why
Well, I
wait?
just
Find
had
out
5
more
weeks
at
off.
ltu.edu.
Lawrence Technological University is all about opportunities. You learn beyond the campus, doing real-world research for top companies and honing your skills through co-ops and internships. Apply what you learn. Be challenged. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Salaries of Lawrence Tech grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet with counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Hey, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And we're back with another segment of the M2Techcast with a longtime friend of the show.
Newly married Enrico Schaefer.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know
It's
that.
been about 2 months now, I think, right?
It could be 4 months, but I haven't done the math, but I think it's probably 4 months.
4 months.
Well, you better
okay.
figure out when it's 1 year. That's all I
That's
can
right,
tell you.
yeah.
You don't want to forget that one.
I got my calendaring program set up on Google Calendar. I should be good.
Okay.
Reminder's
Yeah.
coming.
Sounds
Missed
good.
that first one, you're in a heap
Oof.
of trouble. So, all right. So what we're going to talk about is top data trends to expect for 2020.
Yeah. When you guys were asking me what I thought might be really interesting in terms of what's going to happen next year, I immediately knew the answer, and that is it's all really becoming about data and privacy. I mean, privacy is the other half of data.
All right.
And with everything that's happening both domestically and across the world in terms of privacy rights and data protection, big fines for folks on data breach issues, you can just kind of feel this groundswell coming. And in the U.S., we don't have any data privacy rights to speak of.
Well, California is developing them, right?
They have implemented starting in January,
Right.
and so that is going to be a probably a first of many states that are going to want to start to protect their citizens.
Right.
And do something that is analogous to GDPR in the EU, where
Yeah, so I was going to say that's really the example, isn't it? So
it is, and it took years and years to get developed and implemented. But essentially, what GDPR does in the EU is it says every person has the inalienable right to their own data. And so, like you have certain fundamental God-given rights in the EU, their
your
position
person and
is
your possessions
data,
and all
your
that
data
stuff.
is
Yep.
one of those rights. And so every company that ends up getting your data that is identifiable to you has a whole lot of regulatory items that they have to put in place in order to protect you and your data, and to allow you to reclaim all your data, to have all your data deleted, to be able to know exactly where your data is stored across their networks and their servers. Well, that's a huge ask, but the big companies have implemented those back-end technologies in order to make that happen. Well, we're the opposite in the U.S. In the U.S., it's like, I click-wrapped yes on I gave you all of my data, and you can do whatever you want with it. We don't even think about it, right? We just...
Who reads
ahead,
the terms
click
of
yes.
service? Who really reads that? Yes, in the privacy.
and it's
Not
all
even the
fine
lawyers
print,
do.
4 pages long, boring stuff.
Impenetrables, 6-point type, right.
Well, because we already know what it says.
It says we can do whatever we want with your data, more or less, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So, not in California anymore. And so,
Yeah.
starting in January, companies over 25 million, 50,000 users in California, these types of companies now have to start providing end users data rights and taking precautions to protect that personal data.
Well, 2 very large companies are based in California, Facebook and Google. Now, if they have to do it for California, does that carry over to the other 49 states?
Yeah, is it like emission standards? Is there going to be one for California and one for everybody else?
Well, I think that if I take and put my my me hat on, I hope so, because then what'll happen next is the federal government will step in and say, whoa, we can't have 50 different data privacy rights across all 50 states. Data is traveling across state lines. It's interstate commerce. And guess who actually wants federal legislation right now? Facebook and Google.
Right.
And the reason why is twofold. One is they can't handle 50 different state regulatories. There's actually 3 reasons. The third is they've already built the network to be able to handle data privacy, so they had to do it for GDPR. And 3, the reality is it's a great market barrier against competition for these big companies. They actually support regulation because they know it's going to make it that much harder for the up-and-comer companies to get in the game and
Barrier
compete.
to entry. Yep.
Barrier to entry.
Yep.
So what's the possibilities that what they're doing in Europe will become the model for what we do in the States, or something very similar?
I think it's going to be similar. I mean, the EU, the GDPR is pretty dramatic in terms of the rights that it provides individuals to their own data. So I'm not expecting that our, buyer beware American Western, cowboy spirit is ever going to embrace that,
Right.
because we'll always wait towards no companies are able to run us over like a freight train, and,
Right.
and we just line up like
it.
lemurs and jump off the cliff, right?
Right.
So I don't think we'll ever get there, but I do
I
think
think
that
there's three metaphors there. There's the air, there's the train, there's the lemur, and then I think it's lemmings that jump off the cliff.
it is
So-
lemmings.
It is
You're
a
right.
lemming,
There
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
There it
I don't
is.
think the trains jump off too often, but once in a while.
Oh,
so.
okay.
They might though in 2020. when
Yes.
They see some of these data regulations that are
Right.
going to come. So
Okay.
so I think that the big companies are going to push it at a federal level in order to avoid having more Californias come down the pipe.
Yeah, makes sense. Just a question of when. I think with the current administration, they're more laissez-faire. They're not
Yeah,
into
you have a pretty
regulation.
business-friendly
Yes.
administration
So
right
maybe
now.
if the Democrats win in 2020, then you'll see it. But otherwise, I don't really think you'll see it for a while. But who knows?
Yeah, and it's
So-
going to be Congress that's going to have to push it, and there will always be companies that will be fighting it. But generally, if it's the right regulation that probably is already drafted by Facebook and Google themselves,
And they're all ready to go. They
and
get
they're
their
ready-
army of lobbyists
Well,
out there.
how
right?
similar are the California and GDPR regulations?
So GDPR is more dramatic, and so there are similarities between what's happening in California. California is less about your data rights and more about making sure that these companies are doing what they need to protect your data.
Right.
I mean, there's lots of different ways to get in trouble with some of these new frameworks, but one of which is if you get hacked and the data gets exposed, you could end up like I think British Airways got hit with $228 million fine because they got hacked and user data ended up getting.
That's a lot of steam towels on that flight to London. Boy, I'll tell
Yeah.
ya. Man, that's
They'll
a
just
big
jack
one.
up their rates all and cover it, right? So
We end up paying in the end.
yes.
Yep. Okay.
So automation, connected cities, mobility.
Oh, I
let's-
love talking about that
That
stuff.
strikes right at the heart of what we want to do here in Detroit, right?
It does, and so in the realm of data, right? We heard the last 3 years about big data, big data, big data. Big data turned out to be nothing because it was so big, no one could do anything with it, right? No one knew where it lived, no one knew how to, what the good data versus the bad data was on their networks, and so yes, big data was this great buzzword, but it ended up being a big yawner. Well, the data is all still there, and in fact, now the data is exploding, the amount of data, and a lot of it has to do with mobility and autonomous and some of these other technologies, smart cities. Can you imagine a smart city, how much data is going to be collected,
Well,
right? Just
Trillions and
trillions of terabytes a
yes,
minute.
just crazy.
And they're starting to build algorithms that will, and analytics around that so that they can actually do interesting things. So AI is essentially predictive algorithms on data, what is going to happen next given all the probabilities in the data. So you're going to see a lot of AI-based systems, a lot of analytics-based systems, and you're going to start to data's going to become meaningful.
Yeah.
Will that help the traffic flow more efficiently or anything like that? I mean, so sort of the more municipal stuff, that we see.
It will, as long as you trust the people who are controlling the algorithm to,
Okay.
to
Yeah, well,
not
you
work
have it,
against
right?
you rather than for you. So,
Are
but
they
it has the
good-
potential.
Are they black hats or white hats? We don't know. So
Probably gray.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that was
it's probably
big.
gray.
That's I always thought. I think you and I talked about this once. Is that the quickest way to really cripple a city would be to really screw with the traffic lights so you create huge traffic backups.
Oh, yeah,
anywhere, and you would,
definitely.
I live in
mess up-
Salt Lake City. I think the traffic lights there, because of the religious connotations of the way the city developed and everything, were all there to work against you, to just give you a sense of
Slow
that sense of
down.
being controlled. Like
Yes,
like
right.
there's traffic lights everywhere, and you're gonna have to stop.
Okay, all right.
And AI. One of the things I was watching on the History Channel, one of those little short hour-long programs they do about technology, and they showed how AI was being used in China, and it scared the heck out of me.
Should.
I mean, you can't scratch yourself in China without some comrade seeing it somewhere. And now they've got it so facial recognition everywhere, and they've eliminated the need when you go to an ATM machine. It reads your facial recognition and then lets you in. My God, that's 666 written all over it. I mean, holy cow, right? Hopefully
is.
that's not where we're going here in this country.
Well, look at there's this huge tension between private data privacy and AI because AI requires, in certain instances, for it to know who you are in order to interact with you.
Right.
But the big trend is to anonymize as much data as possible so that data cannot be tracked to a person, itself or in combination with other data, so that you don't have to comply with some of these regulations. But it's going to be interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you need. The AI harnesses the big data, and then it all kind of works together to a centralized control, which, doesn't fly well in this country. But, China, that's always the way it's been. It's just, countries like that, yes, but more Western countries, yeah, I don't know. It's a real tough situation.
Yeah, it is, and maybe it'll be blockchain, and therefore it'll be decentralized control. But it's going to be fast moving.
Everybody's using blockchain these days.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm living in a Philip K. Dick novel. I really do.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
It's just a question of which one, one of the more benign ones or one of the really evil ones. So
good and bad in both, probably. I think it's just going to be a really interesting time in the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a couple of minutes left, Dave. We're good. Let's talk a little bit about your practice. This is where you get to do the shameless plug. Now, I've known you for a long time, and you've always been in Traverse City, but a couple of years ago, you set up an office right down by Comerica Park, right?
Yeah, so we're down in Detroit at the WeWork space down in Campus Martius, as long as that continues to exist. And
yes, WeWork. That's
WeWork,
another story we won't go
exactly.
into, but it's like, boy.
we work for
Do I not
now.
have to go to work if WeWork is
Yeah, what a scam. But, hey, no, we can't say that, can we? So, So how's that working out?
We'll fix that in post.
I know you were saying something about when your last son graduates from high school up in Traverse City, that you may move down here permanently, but I don't know if you're still there or not.
Absolutely. I mean, Detroit is rocking, and it's been an amazing thing to come back down here after 25 years and see what's happening and be a part of it. I feel like a carpetbagger coming in when it's good, but I'm here now, and I'm here every other week, and then as soon as my youngest graduates, I'll be here all the time, and we do internet and tech law, so a lot of intellectual property, and we specialize in tech company representation. So
I suppose as a disclaimer, I should also mention you are my tech attorney. So, yes, so he's working, as you all know, I'm working on a video project, so his people are helping with that, negotiate all that sorts of stuff, and examine my software to make sure we're not stepping on anybody's toes.
So. No, I hope you're stepping. I mean, how am I going to litigate for you?
I know, yes. Right.
I'm actually looking for problems.
Oh, okay.
No litigation, no money. Yeah,
that's it. No billable hours. What's up with that?
Yeah.
Huh? So
okay.
So folks want to find out more. How do they reach out to you?
So www.traverselegal.com.
Okay, and are you still doing some drone law a little bit here and there?
Drone law, all autonomous vehicles. It's all the same technology, whether it's UAV or any other mobility technology. It's all the same stuff.
It is. It's just some of it flies and some of it rolls, but it's all the same, right?
Pretty soon the cars will fly.
Yeah, Jetsons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Meet George Jetson.
Yes, okay. Where did my flying car go?
I know.
Yeah, well, the reason there aren't flying cars is, come on now. Your car breaks down, you pull over to the side of the road. Your flying car breaks down, you drop out of the sky like a giant boulder. Right, that's a problem.
Okay, well, we've had enough fun with Enrico for now, but we'll have him back next year. He's going to be a regular here on the show. He's resuming his he did that for a number of years, and then you kind of got real busy building a business, but he's back.
And we're glad to have you.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right, this is Mike Brennan.
And it's Matt Roush.
And we'll be back shortly with one more segment.
Well, that's cool.
What do you get at
it'll
Lawrence
be fun to have you
Technological
down
University? Everything. Great labs and studios, supportive professors, plus a full campus life, NAIA athletics, and all the software you need to succeed. Be smart. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Salaries of Lawrence Tech grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet with counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Lawrence Technological University graduates earn a degree and a higher starting salary. In fact, when it comes to earning potential, the Brookings Institution ranks LTU 5th among U.S. colleges and universities. Be enriched. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
Salaries of Lawrence Tech grads are among the highest of any university in America. Plan a campus visit to meet with counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Mike Brennan.
And Matt Roush.
Adjusting his headphones. Hey, TK, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
All right,
We're good.
We're running just a couple of minutes late, but we're getting
worries.
back on track here. So we have calling in from Lansing. We have TK Epley, who's the new Chief Operating Officer for Supported Intelligence, which is an artificial intelligence company that was created by Patrick Anderson and his group. And TK just came on board, about a month or so ago?
Middle of September.
Okay.
So TK, start us off with, for people who are not familiar with you, let's hear a little bit about your background.
So I was a SEAL, U.S. Navy SEAL for 20 years. Near the end of my time there, I got back into technology. And once I left that, I went to work for successively what I believe to be more interesting tech companies. A lot of that is based on what you learn at one place, you can go apply somewhere else. And with that, I got increased responsibility, and I've built big to small, or small to big, and then I've done a lot of consulting work with big companies as well. Patrick and I met each other when we were on a trip in Turkey, and we just hit it off. And he had a need, and I felt that he was an interesting and nice gentleman, and so here we are working together.
Now, does he have you wearing a bow tie yet?
No, I am decidedly not a bow tie person.
Okay. Well, that's Patrick. He always has colorful bow ties.
Which actually it works out, right? Because you need a little bit of everything to be successful.
Yep, that's right. So let's talk a little bit about supported intelligence. It's certainly something we've talked about before on the show. Patrick's been on the show, but it's been a few months, actually more than a few months, I think, since we talked about it. So a lot of folks may not understand what it is. Why don't you bring us up to speed on that?
Okay, supported intelligence is more of an outcropping of Anderson Economic Group. Throughout the years, as Patrick's done, the consulting work he's done, that I'm sure your viewers or your listeners have heard, the need to have better fidelity of data, especially as from what I heard from your previous guest, is, as we start to get more and more data available to us, how do we accurately interrogate that and make good decisions? And I think at one end of the spectrum with supported intelligence, you look and you have this big mass of data, that, basic data analysis, keyword pickers and things that we just basically give the machine, hey, look for the X amount of things, and then they go beat the data up until it says uncle and they get the data. And then on the extreme other end, you have true artificial intelligence, right, which is moving and making things and learning on its own to help make things easier for humans. We fit somewhere in the middle in what we've termed to be decision intelligence. We want to help organizations, people, entity make better decisions, and we can do that algorithmically with some of the IP that's been created in the past with Patrick and his guys, and some of the stuff that we're looking forward to doing now to help the decision process from a technical standpoint look more like the way humans make a decision, if that makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things we were just talking about is an extreme example of artificial intelligence with the Chinese. I'm sure you're familiar with what they're doing, but facial recognition everywhere for everything it's like it's gone completely in a much different direction.
Well, I think one of the humorous things, and I am somewhat of a cynic now with most things when it comes to technology, that there's, a big challenge on Facebook and social media called the 10-year challenge. Show us a picture of you 10 years ago, show us a picture of you now, and then we have this little fun tool where you can imagine yourself being 10 years older.
No thanks.
Right, and that's a big thing on Facebook and all the social media right now. Mm-hmm. And if you start with the premise of what the Chinese in particular have been doing with facial recognition, and then you say, hey, by the way, just for fun, go give us as many old pictures as you want to show how you've aged, and then we're going to be predictive about where you're aging, and now we're going to have that on file. So 10 years from now, when we do it again, we'll actually see how that compares with the data we collected by imagining or mathematically modeling what you should look like in 10 years.
Not sure I'd want to see that. But,
sure, making their job easier.
Yeah,
that's for
absolutely,
sure.
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think to a lesser extent, it's employed around the world. I mean, London is one of the most surveilled cities electronically in the world.
Absolutely.
If over 300,000 cameras in downtown London alone.
Mm-hmm. CATV.
So where do you see the business market going for the kind of decision intelligence that you folks provide?
We have existing customers that are in franchising industries that you're helping them make better decisions about where to locate their franchises, how to discriminate the model density of franchising, and certainly we can go on pricing strategy. From that pricing strategy, because pricing strategy isn't binary, all right? And when you start talking about providing consulting and implementation for all of that, you want to take the zero-sum game out of it, where the traditional business analysis for franchise insurance presumes any gain for you is a loss for your competitor. But if you're talking in a territory, you not only have competitors, but you also have other locations that you as a franchisee may own. And how do I separate those far enough so that we can get a true accrual of which customers are ours, as an example? AEG, Anderson Economic Group, has used these tools, within the auto industry for franchisees, and to prove or disprove what people have said one franchise has done to another and things like that. As we start looking forward, we have the ability to integrate this with applications that we've either have the IP on or are working on the IP to change what is largely a 50 to 70-year-old linear model for deterministic path with regards to logistics and supply chain. To be able to look at a global problem of moving things from A to B. And I think the one thing people don't really think about on a day-to-day, we think about FedEx, we think about UPS and things like that, but the big bucket in the world is global shipping. Mm-hmm. It's still relatively, imagine that it's cheaper right now to build things offshore in a lot of cases and bring them here, thousands of tons at a time on a ship, and then tractor them across the country or wherever they need to go. And it still becomes a relevant and cost-effective way to transport. But as we start moving into the next century, deep into the next century, all of these terminal facilities are looking to automate. What do we know about containers? Right? What we knew about containers 20 years ago wasn't that much. What we know about containers now is we know relative humidity, temperature, if they've been dropped, what impact Gs they dropped at, and all of that relevant information, where they're at in any given place and time. In a lot of cases now, we don't enjoy, we don't enjoy a labor advantage in pricing by having stuff made offshore. What we enjoy is a manufacturing advantage. There's very specific types, and I think, like, if you look at iPhone, the reason iPhone isn't built here isn't because there's a big discount for having it built in Foxconn in China. From a labor perspective, they have very exacting training for the type of labor it takes to build that phone and build that widget, so to speak, in a very exacting, concise manner. And so we have to get competitive elsewhere. And the places where they're looking to do it is in logistics of getting it from A to B. And if you look at if you take into advantage the IoT piece of it with sensors and everything like that, and then you say, hey, how are we going to make these little tractors that are now trucks in a lot of facilities with people running around the terminal facilities to deliver and get things out to the marketplace? And so with modernization, what they're doing is embedding, magnetic tracks and things like that in there, and then every vehicle's autonomous. In fact, the Port of Rotterdam is the leader in this, and they're already looking at their next generation of what they're doing. What we say is that we can come in there and help you make better decisions on how to build that and how to set it up, and then after that, how to manage it so that you're taking less steps and getting more for those steps.
Okay. We got a few minutes left, so we probably should talk about a fun way that you guys are using AI called Smart Bracket. I think it's been 4 or 5 years now that Patrick's been doing that, and it helps you crush your NCAA basketball pool, and everyone wants to do that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
In fact, this year, that's the big thing we're working on right now. We are doing some redesign, both under the hood and out at the app end, that will not only allow you to continue to make what Forbes says is the best way to pick your bracket, but also make it more enjoyable. You have 64 teams, and what we do is upload all the data in the back end to everything you ever wanted to know about those 64 teams, but we're afraid to ask, so to speak. And then we ask you questions, and it's somewhat deterministic based on your preferences and based on who you like, what you like. We help you pick the best bracket based on that.
And that'll be, well, of course, it would be March when it comes out, but we'll be talking about that a bit more as you guys develop that. Now, is there going to be any, like you say, a new twist this year? It's going to be even better than it has been in years past?
It will be, but because it's going to be better under the hood, so to speak. As you know, the output is the output, right? You're going to get a bracket of 64 teams, but we are getting better at how we want to analyze the data, how we present the data, and then we are in process of trying to add some news features and things in along on the app to help everybody follow along with what goes on.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the show here, so why don't you give the contact information, how folks can find out about not only what's going on with supported intelligence, but with the Anderson Economic Group as well.
You could reach us on social media at Supported Intelligence, and Smart Bracket IO is the website, and Smart Bracket on social media, and then supportedintelligence.com. And then for everything you'd want to know about Anderson Economic Group, you can go to andersoneconomicconsulting.com.
Okay.
All right. Thanks very much, TK
All right,
Epley.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being with us today. TK Epley, COO of Supported Intelligence in Lansing. I want to thank TK and the rest of our guests today. Traverse legal attorney Enrico Schaefer, cybersecurity expert at U of D Mercy Tamara Shoemaker, and we started off the show with Lawrence Tech history professor Jason Barrett discussing the NAE Grand Challenge Research Competition. This is our last show of 2019. So
yay, a little vacation time coming up. So.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa and all that good stuff. We will be back, I think it's January 6th.
I believe so.
Okay,
yeah, sounds right. Yeah,
okay.
Works for me. So.
That's when we'll be back. So see us then. And in the meantime, if you've missed episodes, they are available wherever podcasts are distributed, including mitechnews.com.
Absolutely.
If you missed one, go watch it. They're all good.
Okay, thanks again.
Modestly, he said.
Yeah, modestly, yes. Thanks again. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the rest. And we'll see you next year.
Yeah, we'll see you in 3 weeks.
Thanks for listening.